Hi everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with some extra free analysis for you this week. You voted for it, so I'm doing it. This is VEChain, so thank you very much to the VEChain community who got together and absolutely blitzed the vote. Hi, I'm Lara from Pure Elliott Wave, and in 2021 I wrote a book, Pure Elliott Wave. I wrote it to be a clear, definitive guide to everything you need to know about Elliott Wave. I have 33 copies to sign and personalise while I'm in the United States, and so if you would like a signed, personalised copy of my book, click on the link below. The last time I analysed this one was in October 2023, so back here. And at that point I was looking for a breach of this best fit channel with a full green weekly candlestick above and not touching. We got it really soon after I did this analysis, and price is just continuing on higher. So I haven't updated my counts yet. I'm going to do that with you. I'm not going to move the invalidation point for primary 2 up to the end here until primary wave 3 has met the core Elliott Wave rule of moving beyond the end of primary wave 1. At that point I will have more confidence that primary wave 2 is over, and I'll move that invalidation point up. For now, I'm going to allow for the possibility that we could move this down 1 degree, and this could just be wave A, a double zigzag for A of a continuing flat correction from primary 2. So if primary 2 were to continue lower, it may not move beyond the start of 1 below 0.001678. However, technicals strongly suggest that primary wave 2 is over and primary wave 3 is probably in its very early stages. The target remains the same. Primary 3 would reach 1.185 if it was 4.236 the length of primary wave 1. That's the Fibonacci ratio I'm using for this target, because within primary wave 1, intermediate 3 was very close to 4.236 the length of intermediate wave 1. So if we see that same relationship exhibited again, then that's a reasonable target for this market. Let's have a look at this structure here. So I have not updated my wave count. I'm going to do this with you, and this part of the video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk you through the thinking process of how I'm updating this wave count. Some people don't like this format. Feel free to skip through. I've broken the video into chapters, so you don't have to watch this bit. If you find it boring, you can skip right through to my conclusion. First thing I'm going to note is I want to leave my degree of labeling here the same. This looks about right. I'm going to say that this is most likely minor 1 and 2 within intermediate wave 1. If that's the correct, then when intermediate wave 1 is complete, we'll be looking for a multi-week to multi-month correction for intermediate 2. Expanding this out, I think I want to label this high here the end of minute wave 3. Will it subdivide nicely as an impulse? Yeah, that's how I would label it, although now the 5th wave, no, that doesn't look right, so I'm going to have to move this up here. Probably some kind of combination for minuet wave 4. Yeah, that's better. And now the 3rd wave is going to subdivide really well. Oh, interesting to see that the 5th wave is shorter than the 3rd, and it's the 5th wave to end a 3rd wave 1 degree higher if this is the correct wave count. So that's unusual for a cryptocurrency. How much shorter is it? It's 73% shorter than minuet wave 3. It's a lot shorter. That's not very common for a cryptocurrency, but it does sometimes happen. Okay, let's get some more labels in here. It's academic now for some of these movements because it's over, but I'm going to do this with you because a lot of people find that this helps them learn Elliott Wave. This looks like a double zigzag. Just a quick cursory look at it. Yep, that looks right. So minuet 2, a double zigzag. Minuet 4, some kind of combination, maybe a zigzag X and a little flat in here. You'd have to go to a lower time frame to see how that unfolds though. I'm not sure about this structure though. Oh, okay, no, I think this is probably a double zigzag as well. They're really common corrective structures. Okay, this double zigzag works really well. First zigzag in the double, minuet W, double joined by 3 in the opposite direction. Second zigzag works really well if you've got an expanded flat here for sub minuet B. And micro C has moved beyond the end of A, avoiding a truncation. That's an expanded flat. It's in a B wave position. Really, really common to see expanded flats in that position. Probably some kind of combination here for sub-minuet 2, but I can't tell for sure, so I'm not going to put labels on. You'd have to go down to the hourly time frame to check that. Probably looks like a zigzag X and then maybe a regular flat for Y. Subminuet 3 subdivides quite nicely as an impulse. Nope, I wouldn't put that there. I can see the first wave and second wave over down here. And now the third wave has a really good look. Yeah, that looks much better. So the question is the fourth wave over. There's some technical support. I've already had a quick look at that. Let's try a single zigzag. Oh, that's got a beautiful fit. Short wave A, sharp wave B, and wave C fits perfectly as an impulse. There's a big, strong bullish engulfing candlestick pattern here. When I use Elliott's technique to draw a channel around this impulse, I draw the first trend line from 1 to 3, and then I place a parallel copy on the end of 2. The fourth wave's got an overshoot and it's moved back within the channel. That looks like a pretty good Elliott channel. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's another overshoot down here, that's fine, but overall this channel is showing us mostly around about where prices found support, and it's mostly contained the fourth wave. So the fifth wave may end about resistance at the upper edge of the trend channel, so use that line for resistance for the end of minor wave 3. For the short term, minute wave 4, if it continues lower, may not move into minute wave 1 price territory below 0.018462, and eventually when it arrives after minor 3 is over, minor 4 may not move into minor 1 price territory above 0.0221217. Finally, let's calculate a target for minor 3. At 0.04678, minor 3 would reach 4.236, the length of 1, and at 0.049775, minute wave 5 would reach equality in length with minute wave 3. This is the Fibonacci ratio I'm using for the target for minor 3 because it's already past 1.618 and 2.618, the length of minor 1, so that's the next Fibonacci ratio in the sequence, and I'm using this ratio for minute wave 5 because if it were only to reach equality in length with minute wave 1, it would be truncated. And so with these two target calculations, I get a zone that's got a reasonable probability and it's not too wide. So that's my conclusion for the daily chart. For the short term for VEChain, I expect a third wave up at minor degree to end. Here's my target zone. Here's my invalidation point for the short term. When we see new highs beyond the end of minute 3, we'll look out for another pullback to last a few weeks for minor 4. Here's the invalidation point for it here. Use the upper edge of the channel to see where minute wave 5 may find resistance, and when the channel is breached by subsequent downward movement, we can expect minor 3 is over and minor 4 at that stage would then be underway. And this is all within intermediate wave 1. The bigger picture for VEChain remains extremely bullish for this analysis. Technicals on the weekly, at the last high we have an evening doji star. We'll have a look and see what the context is that's occurring in. If it's an extreme trend in overbought conditions, it may herald a strong change. If it's just not extreme conditions and not overbought, then it may just be indicating a small pullback or a small consolidation. Look out for resistance at 0.034 at this stage. At the low here, in June 2023, there's a morning star reversal pattern and followed by some upward movement. This is starting to look like it's got a little bit of a curve of parabolic growth. The upward movement is starting to have a consistent push from volume, so that's bullish. We've seen that before though, and yet lower lows were found. So on its own, this is not necessarily a strong definition of a bullish case. The last signal given from on-balance volume was bullish, but there's no new range and no new signal. ADX is indicating there's an upward trend at the weekly time frame. There's a very long way to go before it's extreme. RSI has reached overbought, but it's back in neutral territory. It hasn't been as overbought as it can remain for during a cryptocurrency bullish run. It can remain overbought for quite a while, and this is what I mean. In VEChain's previous history, it reaches overbought here and the close here, 0.012496. The eventual high when it reached further overbought the close, 0.227585. So RSI has only just had its first dip into overbought. There's still a long way to go before it can get as extreme as it can get, and there's no bearish divergence. There wasn't bearish divergence at this high back here though, so we don't always see bearish divergence at the start of a bear market. Money flow is not overbought, so there's still quite a ways to go before this is as extreme as it can get. And finally, ATR starting to show a little bit of an increase. Is good to see volatility returning to this market at this time frame. Technicals on the daily, the moving average situation is bullish but not full bore bullish. The short is above the mid, which is above the long. There was a golden cross off to the left of the chart. The short has a negative slope, but the other two are positive, and price is above the mid and the long. So a bullish look. The probability of good things happening when the averages look like this is higher than not. Look for resistance for the short term at 0.034. Support, expect that's likely to hold at 0.027 because of the strong bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, which has a really good strong push from volume. ADX is declining at this time frame. There's no trend, but remember at the weekly time frame there is an upward trend, so if that pullback is over, it's going to take a little while for ADX to turn around and indicate an upward trend again at this lower time frame. RSI is in neutral territory. There was some bearish divergence at the high at the end of that third wave. Money flows neutral, so if the upward trend is going to resume, there's a long way to go before it gets as extreme as it can get for this market. That's my analysis of VEChain for you. It's still really bullish. The last time I did it, I said we were going to go higher, and that's exactly what's happening. So let's see if that plays out in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and if you haven't already hit the like button, please do so to help me out. Thanks, guys.